We're recording. What's going on? This is a You Want It, You Got It podcast. I am your host, Russ Attitude, and today I am speaking with Cody Hegler of Contender. What's going on, Cody?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on your podcast.
For sure, for sure. I also forgot to mention he's also an up and coming photographer and videographer. Is that the correct terminology? Videographer?
Yeah, videographer.
Okay, all right, cool.
I
Whatever.
kind of
However, you
like
guys.
I kind of get caught up and I just start filming stuff. So some of my stuff is not well thought out like a videographer, but it works.
Do you sometimes take video and then snip photos from the video?
I haven't done that yet, but when I pull my phone out, like, because man, sometimes phones are just they're so convenient. But like if I'm
Yeah.
like trying to get, if I don't want to mess with my settings for video, that's when I like pull my phone out and I'll just hit on my phone. Like I'll take pictures while I'm recording.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I know what you're saying about the setting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so Cody, man, tell us a little about you. Where you originally from?
I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina, and believe it or not, I ended up here in Clarksville because of the army.
Oh, would have never thought that.
No, it's actually kind of interesting, man. So being from Charleston, I got family that live out in like Missouri and Nebraska, and then I eventually ended up getting stationed in Kansas. So
Wow.
I'm very familiar with like the I-26 to I-40 East all the way
Yeah.
up to I-24. So I'm very familiar with this area. I've driven through it a lot, and I always felt like I was gonna get stationed here. The first time we ever drove through Nashville, I remember like I was like 15 and I fell in love with it. And I was like, damn, I got to come here. And I got the opportunity to station closed. So
Is is this your last duty station?
yeah,
How long were you here? Oh,
I
till you got
was 3 years. No,
yeah.
I guess I technically about 3.5, 4 years. It is the longest I've been at any duty station because typically I would normally just peace out and go somewhere else and try my hand at a different
Yeah.
place.
Send you someplace here, send you someplace there. Did you ever go overseas?
Yeah, I've been to Kuwait and been into Iraq like for very briefly, but
Hot down there?
it's hot. But it gets like when I was there, it wasn't as hot, but it would get freakishly cold at night.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
Yeah, because
Um,
we would be staying in those like those 40-man like hangar style tents, and
yeah.
they had like the window, like the trailer park window unit ACs, and like you can crank them bitches all the way down to like whatever. And there was one time like whoever had this thing set to like 54 degrees, I don't know,
Ooh.
but like I remember waking up and seeing my breath, and I walked outside and I was still seeing my breath. I'm like, all right, like that AC has to turn off. Like,
Um, so you are a drummer, you're a guitar player, I mean, you can probably just play about everything. What got you into start playing music?
um, to be honest, I don't really remember. I remember like like the first style of music, like the first genre of music that I was like truly interested in as a kid was rap and R&B, and I think that like started my interest in playing drums. And then when I moved to my dad's house, it was like, all right, well, we're not gonna, you can't listen to that anymore. You're gonna listen to this. And then I met one of my dad's girlfriend's kids, and he was a huge Metallica fan, played guitar, and he was like, dude, you should play drums. And I was like, yeah, I should play drums. But I didn't learn how to play drums until like that next year, or no, 2 years from that day, or from that time. I was in foster care, and there was a dude that lived with us, and I saw him drumming one time, and I was like, yo, I've always wanted to know how to play drums. Can you teach me how to do that? So he like showed me how to hold the sticks, and I kind of just went from there.
Wow. So drums was your first instrument.
Yeah. I actually owned a guitar before I learned how to play it. So I guess if you want to
Okay.
be like technical about it, guitar, but like my first love is drums. I really like.
Gotcha. Now, going through high school and stuff, were you in a band at all during that time?
So I started out. doing like my freshman and sophomore or my freshman year, I was only in like marching band and like like the nerdy stuff. But I was like, and then I stayed in marching band like throughout high school. I was on the drum line. It was fun. But I got into playing in bands. I would say like seriously, I would say like my junior year, and I was in a terrible metalcore band, MySpace era metalcore band called Injections to the Unknown.
Oh, nice, nice.
Super
The
cringe,
MySpace days. Yeah.
super MySpacey, super zany.
Oh, MySpace days, man. You have your little top eight.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, people don't understand the struggle of picking your top 8, man.
Oh man, because then you can start a whole fucking fight with a friend. You know,
Yeah,
like wait a second, I
all,
thought we were cool.
you have a whole falling out.
And then if you had a girlfriend, she had to be up there on your top eight too. Because if you didn't have your girlfriend, then all hell's gonna break loose. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. My top friend for the longest time on MySpace was Title Fight.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
I
because I was like, I don't want to pick, I don't want to have to pick, so I'm just gonna put one of my favorite bands that I like right now.
they played Clarksville at one time.
I heard, dude. I
Yeah.
heard.
At the original Coup location. Yeah, I booked them. I actually still have the tour flyer I made for it.
Dude, that's sick, man.
Yeah, crazy. Some of the bands that actually played Clarksville is pretty insane.
Yeah, yeah.
At the Coup.
Especially the warehouse, dude. The warehouse, like I don't think it took a few times of me like going to the warehouse to realize like the I guess the legacy and the Clarksville music scene that was there because like
Oh yeah,
once I
dude.
like started looking at the tour flyers and I'm like, damn, all right.
Well, see, you say you've been here in Clarksville for about 3 to 4 years.
So I was like stationed, but like living here all total. I think I'm coming up on year number 5.
Okay. See, like probably about 10 years back, um, that's when they started getting a lot of those bigger shows, like the ones you saw. Like I think I Prevail played here, and then Fear Factory and
Wait.
Crowbar, and
Did I Prevail play here in like 2015?
are they the ones who did? Are they the ones who do that Taylor Swift cover?
Yeah, I saw them on their first tour in
Uh huh.
Kansas that year,
Oh
and there
yeah.
was like all of like maybe 50 people there, and um, I don't know how they are now, but like back then, I don't know, man. Like I Prevail kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
get that band and another band mixed up.
It
Prevailed.
Prevails.
Yeah,
There's a
Prevailed.
hardcore band. There's a melodic hardcore band called It Prevails.
So wait, but I Prevail is the one that does the Taylor Swift cover, right?
Yeah,
The
they're
yeah,
the more like metalcore type
yeah,
band.
that's the one that played the warehouse. So
It was weird because they were headlining and they only had an EP out, and I was like, and I had to take into account like, yeah, could they release that cover? I remember like watching that cover when it first came out, and I was like, man, this is gonna blow up. And I checked like the next week, and I was like, damn, this thing really did blow up.
yeah, they were one of the earlier. I mean, there's always a bunch of bands that did covers, but they took that cover and made. Then they, I think it probably got radio play. I think on it.
I think they
Um.
did
So how old were you about was when that came out?
when the blank space cover.
Yeah.
I was 22. Yeah, it was
Okay.
2015. So yeah, I was 22.
Yeah. Um. What kind of music were you into at that time?
The music that I was into at that time, I had it's so let me preface this real quick. So like being in Can't Relate for as long as I was, people
Okay.
I don't know tend to think the only music that I like to listen to or play is strictly pop punk, but like I didn't get into like I liked pop punk. I mainly liked the bands that were more like hardcore influence, like the ones that came out in
Yeah.
the 2010s. But like back then, um I was like honestly like I guess gent like forget
Oh,
like volumes of Elamaya, like that style of metalcore slash like
yeah.
deathcore.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Well, I mean, I could see you playing that. I could see you into that.
I was
I,
also a huge, still am to this day. It's just not as bad, but like yeah, I was a huge Polyphia stan back then too. Like I
really?
really yeah, like Polyphia is who got me into playing Ibanez guitars. Because
Okay.
I growing coming up as a guitarist, I had a friend whose dad was like he was like a professional roadie in the 90s. He like roadied for like Motley Crue, like 80s and 90s, like Motley Crue, Nirvana, all these other like bands, and he would always talk shit about Ibanez, and he's like, they're pointy headstock guitars. And then I went into a guitar store one day while listening to Polyphia in my headphones, and I saw this white Ibanez, and it just kind of was like, hey man, buy me. And then
And you
now I'm an
did.
Ibanez fanboy.
Um, I mean, everybody has their favorites, what they play. I mean,
Y-
go ahead.
yeah, that I was gonna say, yeah, and it's like it's I don't know if I don't know. I'm pretty sure like I wanna assume that other musicians, like mainly guitarists, think the and bassists think the way I do, but like my guitar choice at the time depends on the style of music that I'm playing. Like I like in camera, like I really wanted to that Ibanez released this like seafoam green RGA that I was like, and it had like gold hardware. I was losing my shit over it. And I was like, damn, I really want to buy this guitar, but it doesn't fit the aesthetic of Can't Relate right now because it's just really pointy.
Hey, I'm coming in on my cell phone. Go ahead.
Russ has entered the chat.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, I got to figure this out. So you joined the military. You moved to Clarksville, and how long before you start and can't relate?
So I didn't start in Can't Relate until summer of 2020. There was a show that AOB did at Vapor USA, and they were playing, and I was gonna go out there for AOB, and I ended up meeting the Can't Relate guys, and it was funny because at the time I was like just like figuring out like how to sing decently, and like I was like showing off this like terribly recorded vocal cover I did, and I was originally brought into that band to be a vocalist, and I kind of got chicken shit, and
Really?
yeah, and there was like some other stuff that went on, and I was brought in to like replace somebody on drums. I don't know that this has ever been talked about, especially with the person that I was going to be replacing at the time. But I don't know, things didn't work out at the time, and like I remember, like I was like, all right, well, I'm not mad about it. I'll just go about my day. And I was like, I asked to play a guitar, and they were like, do you just want to play rhythm guitar? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be tight.
Interesting. Did not know this. So how long were you guys a band?
So I think they got started at the end of 2019,
So
but
you weren't the
I
original.
I wasn't. I'm not like technically not an original member, but like I guess I was kind of just accepted as an original member because I was there back when we were just grinding the warehouse and grinding all these other venues, trying just trying to get in front of people and play. But like
Yeah,
technically and I guess technicality, like I'm not a founding member.
sure you are. I mean, you were in there. Were you? I mean, not a founding member, but you were in there for long enough time to be an original member. I would say.
Yeah, like I was there before we released Hindsight. Like I remember like getting there and Hindsight being like the songs being ready, but like we were like I don't know, there was just a bunch of back and forth about recording and this, that, and the other. And then
I gotcha.
we eventually released Hindsight, and then we had something happen with the drummer at the time, and that's when I took over drums
Gotcha. Gotcha.
the first time.
Who
Who
shot
shot
that? Who
who
shot
shot
that
that
video?
video?
For what song?
The one in the garage with all the blood and shit.
Oh, that I shot the major. Like we all shot it, but I did a lot of the camera work, and I shot it on an iPhone 13 Pro Max.
I mean, you can do anything on a phone, I guess nowadays. You just proved
Yeah,
it.
it's insane, man.
Yeah.
But honestly, I was like, I don't think any of us were expecting that video to come out as good as it did, and
Oh,
we didn't like. I sure as hell wasn't expecting it to blow up, and like the one song we have kind of get traction, be a metalcore song of all songs.
didn't Didn't that one dude who hosts he has a hardcore like he reviews songs. What's his name?
Hardcore Keem.
Yeah.
I
Didn't
met
he go
I
ahead.
met
Where'd
him.
you meet him?
I met him. I was I was walking out. I was at So What last year, and I was walking out of the bathroom, and or no, either I was walking out or he was walking out. I'm like, holy fuck, Hardcore Keem, and I was like, bro, can I take a picture? I mean, it's a very weird time to ask for a picture, but yo, can I take a picture with you?
I mean, at least you weren't holding your dick.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I mean, that's probably the most awkward. That would be the most awkward. It's like, oh shit, hey dude. Like, man, you're holding
dude,
your Johnson.
it's the encounters you have like surrounding music, like when especially when you run into somebody that's like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tend to run into these people like leaving the bathroom. Like I shot a show for my friends in 95 Corolla, and they played with these like bigger touring bands. And I had no idea this dude played guitar in this band, but I had been following him for a while. And because I found one of his reels, like he's like the Nick Nocturnal, or no, Nick Broomhall of like emo and pop punk, where he just like kind of just shits out these great songs in like under an hour. And I was like,
Wow.
yo, dude, I follow you on Instagram, and this is very weird. I shouldn't be talking about this in the bathroom.
Who headlined that So What Fest?
Headline the first night, I want to say it was The Used or Pierce the Veil, and then the second night, actually the flyers right there. So yeah, it was Pierce the Veil and The Used that headlined. If I by looking at the flyer, but I
Yeah.
remember, yeah. So Saturday, Pierce the Veil and The Used, and then Sunday it was Neck Deep.
Pretty cool. Um, so yeah, that you said that single got a lot of traction, and it got a lot of traction quick. That's obviously not the direction that you guys. I mean, you probably did. You enjoyed it, but it's probably not the direction you guys were planning on going.
I don't know, man. It was weird because like there was this. I trying to like speak about this without seeming like I'm throwing shade at any specific person, but there was just I remember there just being this like I will go with vibe. Like
Okay.
we didn't want to be like because everybody had been doing like everybody was doing metal up here, and we're like, well, we kind of just want to do I guess do our own thing, but like I don't even know, but that's
Yeah.
definitely not the direction that we were going for. But we had an itch to scratch because like all of us really like we like metalcore, we like hardcore and all this other stuff, and we just I don't know, we wanted to write something heavy. And funny enough, that song was like written like the initial like the intro riff was written about a year before it was released. Like we were about to go play a New Year's Eve show at Evil Nash, and I remember Austin like screwing around on the computer, and he just like played this thing, and I'm like, yo, that sounds sick, we should like open, or he's like, we should open with this or something. And then it kind of died, and then it came back a year later.
I mean, it was a hard ass riff. I ain't gonna
Yeah,
lie. It was, the whole song was pretty brutal.
dude,
But
Portage, bro. I could not imagine playing that riff on a bass. God, it is a lot of
hey,
fast bending and
I
pulling
mean,
off.
it sounded good. I mean, I enjoyed all the stuff that you guys had did. I love watching you guys play too. You guys had a lot of energy up there on stage. Um, even you played up there with your scooter. I remember seeing
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Your good
yeah.
old
That.
scooter.
God, yeah. Damn, that feels like it was so long ago.
I bet you it must have sucked to take that scooter through the parking lot at the warehouse, didn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, like any time that I would like have to go down a hill, I would be terrified because I'm just because eventually, like, so I was going to some appointment on post when I was still in the army, and I would have to like hobble out to my truck and pull my scooter out and set it down and close my truck back up all on like one leg. But like my scooter kind of rolled back one day, and this dude backed out and just right into it, and like it hit
Oh,
it, and he ended up breaking the handle brake, the handbrake on it. So I had no brakes for like the last part of being on a scooter,
like man, crippled man coming through, but I ain't got no brakes.
dude.
Uh,
And the amount of time that I've spent in orthopedic boots, man, you can look at like my shoes and see the significant wear on one shoe as like opposed to the other.
I mean, too bad you can't just buy like one shoe. You know, it'd be like,
Yeah,
can I just have one shoe? But I guess somebody else have to. It's like when people go to restaurants and they're like, I don't want a top bun. I just want the bottom bun. The fuck we supposed to do with this top bun? You know, maybe someone's gonna come in, they just want a top bun and not a bottom bun.
yeah.
You know?
It's like the people who it's like the people who order like McDonald's on like the app and they order a burger and they remove everything but the bun and they just order a bun.
Like, dude, hey, they do it.
Like I
I
get
used
that
to be.
I get I'm sorry.
No, I was about
I
to
was just
say,
I get the humor behind it.
no, I used to go to. I'm the kind of asshole that goes to McDonald's and go, I want some Fresh fries, and then when I get to the window, I'm like, can I get some salt packets? That's the way, or get some, get some Fresh fries with no salt, and then you ask for the salt packets. But McDonald's
Jesus.
fries are always pretty fucking. McDonald's fries are always pretty spot on. Even when they suck, they're still good as long as they're warm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the strange thing about American fast food, man. Dude,
um,
McDonald's in Germany though, damn.
top notch.
Yeah, it's
I think I had did. What did you guys have? What did you guys have on? Did you live in Germany?
yeah, yeah, I lived in Germany for from like 2016 to the end of 2019.
So did you? Did so? What fast food places did you guys have on base?
So we had like the typical like anytime you go to like an army installation, you're always going to have a BK,
Yep.
always going to have a Subway, you're going to always have some kind of pizza place.
Yeah.
Um but like so on like I was on Vilsec and Vilsec is we'll say it's like comparing Oak Grove to Nashville in terms of like stuff there is and things to
Okay.
do. Like our PX over there was like it was a giant furniture store and it had like some office supplies and it had an electronics spot and then we had like three restaurants. But you go down the road like 15 minutes to Graph and they have the biggest damn PX on like that side of Europe and they got like the Taco Bell and whatnot. They had a bunch of like they had like O'Charlie's, like your typical or not
Wow.
O'Charlie's, Charlie's,
Yeah.
the sub
Charlie. Yeah.
place.
Yep.
Um they had like your typical army base stuff, but like
Yeah.
the fast food in Europe though, man, especially Poland.
Yeah.
Dude, Poland is like a perfect blend between American and German McDonald's. It's like it's not as unhealthy as American McDonald's, but it's also not as healthy as German McDonald's, and
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah. I had when I was over there, I had Burger King and McDonald's off base, which was I thought way better. But it's funny because like every military installation has a BK. Every single one of them has one.
Charlie's and the Subway.
Well, now they do. Now they do. But back when I was there, when I was in Germany in 1988, they didn't have much of anything, and they only had one channel too, just
It's funny.
AFN.
I had a chief that I was stationed with at Fort Riley, and he told me he's like, "Oh, you're going to Vilsec," and I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I was over there in the '90s, and you'll have to tell me if the ACS building is still orange." And yeah, the ACS Vilsec hasn't changed at all.
My buddy, he's 44, and he no, he's not. I lied. He's 46. But anyway, he went. He goes back to Hawaii every year, and the hospital that he was born in is still fucking pink as fuck and has never changed since he was born in the 70s till now. It's still the same fucking color. I'm sure it's been repainted though.
Dude, I
But
learned that the Kroger on Madison used to be Tenova, and I would have never
well,
known
no,
that.
no,
Was it
Publix.
Publix? Yeah,
Yeah,
like we
Publix.
were like I was hanging out with Trevor one time and we were like just kind of cruising down Madison Street and he was like, "Yeah, man, I was born there." I'm like, "What? You were born in a grocery store?" He's like, "No, that used to be Tenova." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Damn,
Well, actually, back then it was just Gateway. But
Gateway."
yeah, I didn't realize that there was more than just one Tenova. I just thought that was in Clarksville. Apparently, there's Tenovas all over the fucking place. It's like
Yeah,
a chain of fucking.
I would have never known that either.
No.
I don't know. I've heard some stuff about Sonova. Everybody tells me like if you're about to die, just go to Nashville.
Well, no, if I'm about to die, I might as well just go to I might just go to Tenova.
And I'm just
You
gonna
know?
call it a day right here.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everybody always says. Oh, Tenova is so bad. I haven't had any issues myself personally, but I just think it's just like everything. We're gonna find something to complain about. Just like Clarksville. Clarksville has the worst drivers in the world, and I'm sure they say that everywhere.
Yeah, it said everywhere, but I will say, like, Clarksville by
No,
far takes
Clarksville
from the
does.
places that I've driven, Clarksville by far takes the cake, and the roads in Tennessee, this stuff didn't reveal it. Like, I don't know. I guess I never noticed it until after I got out, but I've been through an entire set of tires from potholes in Clarksville and whatnot,
Shit. Yeah, I hear you there. There's always a fucking pothole from a fucking
and they're
a
like moon
sinkhole or something.
craters.
Yeah, dude, if you have a small enough car, it might not come back out of that hole.
You probably die from
Um,
fall damage.
it, so after Can't Relate disbands and you guys go your separate directions, what happens to you and Taj and everybody else?
So there was a lot. Oh goddamn! Excuse me. There was a lot. There was a lot more going on behind the scenes that I'm not gonna get into. But like for me, so
Okay.
when I was in the army, I never really truly like accepted how much the army made up like who I was at the time or who I like my like being. And I would always try and like have my hair to where it looked like I wasn't in the army or like I was pushing regs. And I'd always be like, yeah, I'm a musician. I'm not like I'm a musician first, the army later. And there was just so much stuff that was going on with like between like interpersonal things going on
Yeah.
to where I'm like, damn, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I can't can I even call myself like I just I don't know. It's like almost like an identity crisis because like I was also trying to figure out life outside of the army at the time and I just like I was like, yeah, I gotta stop. And I remember when I had told Austin, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I remember sitting there. I remember sitting on my couch at the time, like for like an hour and a half, just kind of like, what am I gonna do? Just kind of dissociating, zoned out, and at the time, I was like, fuck it, I'm done playing music. Like, I don't know how to have fun with this anymore. And it wasn't until like I randomly decided to buy a 7 string guitar from Perry from ALB and I picked it up one day and like back in the day or not or back when I was in Europe, I was still very much into like the gent side of metalcore, like bands like Polaris, Currents, and who else? Wage War could have been thrown into that or can be thrown into
Okay.
that too. And I randomly decided to buy a tab book from of the Mortal Coil by Polaris, and I started learning it. And I guess I kind of I don't know. I started to have fun playing guitar again, and I was like, well, maybe one day I can come back to it, but I need to figure my life out. So I think it was about I think April and like May was just nothing but like still trying to move and do this, that, and the other. Because at this point in time, Contender had already been a band for a while. Like we had already played our show, like our first show. Like yeah, we had already played 2 shows, like one at the Cobra in Nashville, and then we played at the end in December. But I remember
So
telling Taj
those were your first two shows?
for Contender, yeah.
Okay.
And I remember telling Taj, I'm like, "Yo, dude, I need a second before I like even think about doing music." And Taj was very much in the same boat. I feel like he didn't really communicate a lot of like how like, he was handling the situation, but I could just tell like he needed a minute. And we had our drummer at the time, and like our bassist like was still in it, but we had the drummer for 95 Corolla, and I was like, "Hey, bro, like this is gonna have to take a pause for a while." And then 95 started to pick up steam when by the time we came back to like wanting to do music again. So
Yep.
we're like, you know what, let's just find another drummer so we don't have to battle with that. And Cole was initially the like supposed to be the drummer for this band when it started back at the beginning of 2023. And we brought him we got a show booked at Revel, and then
Oh,
we brought him in to play and he ended up just becoming the permanent drummer.
gotcha, gotcha. And how many shows have you guys played in total right now?
We've played a total of 3 shows.
Wow. Okay.
And I think
So
like immediately after the falling out of like Can't Relate, like we spent a lot of time experimenting and like just writing different things because like Can't Relate had a very specific way and a very specific sound that didn't really leave a lot of like it left room, but it wasn't like the kind of experimentation that Taj and I wanted to do because like if you listen to the stuff in Contender, like we're playing with like we have effects on, we have all these different things going into the song and whatnot. So we spent about like 2 months just writing a bunch of demos and just randomly writing what came to mind, and then we're like, hey, let's play a show, and then we're back to being Contender again.
hell yeah. Um, do you guys have anything out there?
Not right now, but I do have a demo if you want to play it. It's like a Taj calls it the fake master, and he was saying something. I'm like, dude, Taj, I can't even tell. Like, this sounds great, bro. Like, you're very good at doing what you're doing right now.
Oh yeah. Um, maybe we can throw up something after this is over with.
Yeah,
Like after the podcast. After the podcast, we'll play, and then you can get people to listen that way.
yeah, that'd be sick. It's so it's supposed to be our first um supposed to be our first single, and it's called Sad Ghost.
Cool, cool. Well, just send it to me and I'll throw it up. Tell us about Sad Ghost.
So Sad Ghost, I started writing the intro part to it about last year. And I had it was like actually around a year ago, like around this time. It was like sometime in September of last year. I
Okay.
remember because I had can't freshly torn my calf muscle.
you're you're in your injuries to your leg, bro.
Hey, knock on wood, bro. But I had
You
this.
might as well get a wooden leg.
You're right. Yo, they almost gave instead of giving me a scooter, they almost gave me a peg leg. I almost wonder how much different the reaction to me being injured all the time would have been with a fucking peg leg.
Well, because then you would have had crutches. You would have had a peg leg with some crutches. That's even more work than just a scooter. I think the scooter's more fun.
Yeah, no, the scooter was definitely more fun. I definitely was like doing stuff I shouldn't have done on it, like bunny hopping and like jumping off things and
Duh.
I'm like at the end of the day, I'm like, why am I always fucking injured? I'm like, oh, I'm doing dumb shit. But it's
Hey,
Sad Ghost. I had I had this like idea that kept droning in my head, and like, it's how I write a lot of stuff for Contender now. Especially again, if I can't do it on a guitar, like I have Guitar Pro 8 like readily available, so I can just punch in notes like the little music nerd that I am,
uh-huh.
and write riffs on Guitar Pro. But this one, I had it, and I was like messing around, and I kind of started it. It's completely different from when it started, but I gave Taj the bare bones of it, and Taj took it and like took it to the next level, and like and it was at a level for a while, and then like we sat down and actually like this is like our first time producing the song that we were writing,
Okay.
and it's like we really like what it came out to be. It's definitely not anything that sounds like something that we would have done and Can't Relate, and I think that's what we really like about it. And like the lyrics even have a theme behind it too. It's about dealing with antagonistic, like problematic people, and like that's the theme. Even like in the music video, we're gonna figure out a way to like portray like toxic and problematic people, and but we're gonna do it like in a comedic setting. I guess I don't know how to explain that.
Are you gonna film it?
Yes, I'm going to film some of it, but I'm gonna bring somebody else in because I've learned like if I film stuff, I'm gonna spend way longer than I need to spend on it because I don't know how to like be like, yeah, that looks good. Let's just send like let's move on to the next part.
Yeah, I that's why I couldn't produce something like I recorded or record something and then mix and master it or whatever because I would be so picky on it, and I would get I'm like no, no, and you didn't. Eventually, you do too much work to it, and then you just ruin the song. 'Cause now you're like, that's not what I wanted. Now it's like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's how a lot of our demos are right now, and I'm like we're kind of like we've kind of taken a step back and been like, are we trying to overproduce this? Should we just let it
yeah.
ride?
Well, I mean, I'll let you know what I think when I hear it. I'll be like, okay. My
It's
buddy.
very
Go ahead.
it's very different, and I don't know. I know Taj did the part for the like just like as a placeholder. So I've been trying to figure out how to scream properly for a while now. I think I started learning back in like occasionally back in like 2015, and then I got to a point when I was in Germany and we needed a vocalist that can like scream in English and still like things make sense. And I'm not saying that in
Yeah.
a disrespectful way. And then
No,
also
no,
trying to
no.
find a vocalist in like a screaming vocalist in Bavaria, Germany is also very hard if anybody has tried before. So in 2018, I had to learn how to scream, and I learned like a weird hybrid of like false chord, and I wasn't doing it right, so I stopped, and then picked it back up again when Keep the Scene came out, and I've just been working on it so we can incorporate that into like the Contender sound.
Cool. That's pretty cool, man. And who's the bass player you said again? Jackson?
His his name is Jackson, and he also has his own music, and he's called Postmodern Therapy on Instagram.
Okay. I'll check. What kind of music is that?
It's more like shoegazy type
Oh, nice,
stuff.
nice.
Like
Hell yeah.
he brings the shoegaze. He definitely brings the shoegaze element to the band.
Hell yeah. So basically, all four of you guys just bring different elements together to come up with the contender sound.
Yeah. Um because before Jackson took over on bass, like I was the original bassist in this band because I remember
Okay.
saying, "Hey, I want to play bass in a band," and it was fun.
Hmm.
Um but we had to make a decision, and so I was like, "You know what? And let me just start playing guitar." And like he really enjoys playing bass, and it worked out.
Hell yeah.
And he just looks like a bassist too, man.
I mean, they do have looks.
Like
So
he's the
with the
bassist. He's
Go
that
ahead.
guy. You ever seen? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No, you're good.
He's the guy that like you see the memes and it was like if your bassist looks like this, you know you're about to get your shit wrecked. That's like
Yeah.
what he looks like.
Hell yeah. Um. Well, what I was gonna say was, since you and Taj both sing, do you guys both contribute to the lyrics, or does just one person write lyrics?
The majority of the lyric writing right now is on Taj. I like so there are parts of the song that I did help write in Sad Ghost, like the scream part. Like I wrote those lyrics, and then I'm all like I've been dabbling in trying to get better at writing lyrics, but for the most part,
Okay.
like Taj writes them, and like if I feel like something could be said better or like rewrote it differently, I'll chime in. Or if I write something and like Taj is like, this will sound better like this or this. So it's kind of how it's been working, but for the most part, it's Taj.
All right. Cool. Cool. Um. So when do you guys have planned for recording? If are you guys gonna actually record, or are you guys just gonna do it yourself? Like what you already have. What you already have.
We we we've been doing it ourselves, and we had we've talked. Like, we want to get real drums because this style of music, it's very like all of like we're very like we make the joke all the time. Like, hey mom, can we get McDonald's? No, we got food at home. So like,
Yeah.
hey mom, can we get basement? No, we have basement at home, and Contenders like the basement at home, the
Gotcha.
band Basement.
Yeah, I know. What
But
are you talking about?
we're very influenced by like bands like Title Fight, Balancing Composure, Basement, and like those kind of like weird those bands that like ride the line of like being hardcore almost, but not fully hardcore.
Yeah. Gotcha. Um. So when you guys have when's your next show?
Our next show is October 12th. Is
What's October 12th?
mini fest. It's a mini fest. It's called Halloween pregame. It's supposed to be called Practice Halloween.
Okay.
However, the weekend that I originally wanted to do it was the last weekend in September, but then Basement announced that they're coming back to the States. So I'm flying out to DC that weekend to go see them with my little brother. So I
Oh,
picked
nice.
this date. I picked October 12th to give me enough time to deal with every like the logistics and everything of putting something like this together, and to be able to like still manage going to school and doing all the other stuff I've been doing.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
oh,
Where's
go
this
ahead,
show
man.
going to be at? Where's this show going to be at?
It's going to be so. If anybody went to the after party for Tour de Ville this year, it's at the same house. It's at Kelly Craig's house. I always feel weird saying that because like you're giving the address is on the flyer, and I don't want to put the address out on the air like that. So that's about as far as I'm gonna
Yeah.
take it. And but yeah, there's a bunch of talent on that bill. There's 8 acts playing that night.
Who's all playing?
So we got this new band. They're newer, they're a younger band. I saw them one night at open mic at Rebel House, and they're called Weed Spit. And I don't know. I heard this one song that they had played, and it sounded like Title Fight inspired Creed. And I remember
Huh.
texting Todd. I'm like, bro, there's this band right now, and it sounds like if Creed tried to write a title fight sounding song, and he's like, bro, that's Creed'll fight. So like we became friends with them, and they played our first show back with us, and so I naturally extended the offer to them. And there was a bunch of other bands that we'd play with, and we would play with in Can't Relate that we haven't played with in a while. We wanted to bring them up. Those bands being Uplander and 95 Corolla. The rapper, his name is Booty Gum.
Booty go.
And I, th- I think we played with No, we never played with Husky Fit, but I've seen them a lot, and they're on the bill, and they have a lot of respect and a lot of love. So I'm really excited to have them on this bill and to be able to play with them finally.
Now,
And
are you guys
then
the only Clarksville band?
no, Weed Spits at Clarksville. Actually,
Oh yeah,
hold on, damn,
you're good.
let me see if I can pull up the flyer. Can you still hear me if I pull up another
Yeah,
tab?
yeah, 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 for sure. I forgot that I'm using my phone. Okay. And how much is that show?
So it's $15 in advance. It's 20 week of. And there's also like other elements to it too. There's going to be like a costume contest slash party. There's going to be giveaway prizes. Oh yeah, so the Clarksville bands that are playing. So I have really bad people headlining.
Oh, nice, nice, nice.
Weed
I haven't seen
Spit.
them in a long time.
So Weed Spit's a Clarksville band. Obviously, Contender is a Clarksville band, and then the only other act on this bill that is not from Tennessee, his name is Hyro, and he's a homie I grew up with. Um,
Okay.
Played in a lot of like we never necessarily played in the same band together, but we played in the same scene together. And he started doing a rap. He started doing his rap thing, and like he booked a show up here last year and at the Cobra when he was on tour, and he asked us to play with him. So trying to return that he asked Can't Relate to play with him, and I wanted to return that favor and bring him up here because
Oh
like
yeah.
that bill kind of was. It's a very weird time. um it's a very odd time for the band Can't Relate because like there was still some inter-member conflicts going on, so like none of us were like barely, we weren't even fucking talking to each other.
Yeah. Um, when was the last Can't Relate show?
The last Can't Relate show, it happened January of this year at Herbal House, and it was weird. It was like one of those shows. I think it was like Trevor. It was like me, Taj, and Trevor. We were all just like hanging out after the show, and we're like, "Yeah, man, I felt like that was the last one." Like it was just one of those things. Like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah. Okay, so you got this show, and what was the date again?
It's October 12th.
October 12th. All right. And you can buy tickets when?
Tomorrow, actually, Friday the 13th. So by the time this podcast airs, tickets will
It would have
be
been
on sale.
3 days ago. Yeah, 3 days ago they went on sale, guys. Is there any? Where can you get them at? Just online, or can you go?
So right now I have an online. It's only online. I was trying to do the whole like physical ticket thing. Like if somebody wanted to go to like a local business and pick them up. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't have that in my budget to do it, so I just did a link tree and I put there's a QR code um, on the flyer itself on the floor, one of the floor tiles, and you
Uh-huh.
scan it. It'll bring you to the link tree where you can find the Instagram page. Or no, first link will be tickets. Second page or the second link will be Instagram page, and then The third one will be the Facebook event page or something like that. And then eventually I'm going to put a playlist together with the bands who do have music out
Hell yeah.
and throw that up
Hell
on
yeah.
there.
Hell yeah. Sounds like a good idea. Um, so this show's coming up. That's going to be your fourth show. What's the plans for contender for the rest of the year?
The rest of the year, we're going to be really trying to focus on our music to get it ready to go. Like we have songs ready to go. It's just the final production thing that we keep, shooting ourselves on the foot in the foot with, and that and like schedules, like school just started back up, so a lot of us
Yeah.
are busy doing all that. And but the focus after that will to be to get these songs out. And we'd been taught, like, I was at Possum Stock last weekend and I was hanging out with the guys on Weed Spit, and we were bouncing the idea of doing a split demo. So if we can do that, hopefully, like, hoping to have music out by the beginning of the year.
You know, for physical copies, that's the best way to go is do a split with another band. That way you guys just cut the cost down the middle, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, take the rest of this year just to get your stuff together, and then next year start playing some more shows.
Hold on 1 second. You mind if I grab some water, dude?
Go ahead. I'm gonna give it a. Well, hold on one. Go ahead. All right. Did you get yourself some water?
I did. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. Um. So besides playing in a band, what else do you do?
I do a lot of photo and video work.
Yeah.
I do it. I started doing photography back in like the beginning of 2022. I picked it up as like a depression hobby, and I wasn't really expecting to stick with it as long as I have. And I started at Austin P, and I found out that they have their own student press, and so I got involved with the Allstate, and started doing it enough to where I'm like, oh, this could be a plausible career after I graduate and everything like that.
Nice. So that's what you're focused. That's that what you're still going to school for now? Then is that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Um, I think right now, I don't know. It was weird. Like I kind of just jumped into a degree program at first, and then I was just like,
Mhm.
hold on, is this really what I wanted to do? And then I started doing it in the context I've been doing it now, and I was like, all right, yeah, this is exactly where I need to be right now.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see you more often now at shows with your camera and whatnot. There's it's cool to see how many people are out there now at shows taking pictures. I mean, you can always find somebody at a show
Yeah,
filming somebody, which is cool.
yeah,
Um,
I like that, and um, it's pretty cool, you know, being able to like contribute to a scene aside from like releasing music.
yeah, and every photographer out there, you guys all have your own unique style too.
Hmm.
You know.
When I shot for 95 Corolla, they were like, I can't remember if it was Colton or I think it was both of them, but like they're like, yeah, man, the Cody aesthetic, and I was like, what is that? And they're like, no, you just have like your own, like, I guess, style of editing, and then I guess they coined that.
You know, it's like Chris Layton. Chris Layton has his unique style. You
Hmm.
know, he has good stuff. Um, so
I
did you feel?
really like. Speaking of styles, I really like KVA Kevin.
Oh, Kev's great, man.
Yeah, his I like the way he edits.
I like his stuff. I like Sophia's stuff. She has good stuff. Who else up there? Uh, my buddy Josh. I don't know if you follow him. I don't know what his name is right now, but my buddy Josh in Nashville does some good work too.
I've seen
He's
some of his work. Yeah, he's really
yeah.
good too.
I mean, he does so much different stuff now, and he just started out. Really, I think within the last 5 years, he started doing photography. Nothing. He's only been doing it a small period of time, and now he's doing like live, like big shows at whatever that amphitheater is in Franklin. He's always there doing shows and all kind of
It's
shit.
crazy because that they I had when I had shot that show for what's it called, for 95 Corolla with Rematch and
Yeah.
Good Terms. Like, I had a feeling, I was like, "Man, this is probably gonna open up some doors," and it did, and, yeah, I'm kinda getting my foot into, like, the next like, shooting, like, to the up to the next level with bands, trying to figure out how I can go about getting getting with a publication so I can apply for these photo passes if
Yeah,
I'm not invited by a band.
yeah. That's. I mean, does it cost to get those passes and shit?
I don't think it does, so from what, what's her name? Brittany, she also
Yeah,
does,
I know you're talking
photos.
about.
Yeah. I asked her one time and she like I guess like the long explanation short, she was basically like it was like you have to, you got to find a like somebody that looking for like I guess like a blog or online magazine something so you have like that publication credit behind and then I think she said that they will do it for you or you have to do it. I'm not I got to go back and look at the messages. I
Yeah.
just knew at the time when I'd asked her like I thought I was ready to go to that next spot, but there was like still some stuff I needed to figure out, especially when I got my new Sony. Like I had to figure it
Yeah.
out. But I got to go and dig that message up because that's my goal for the next year. I plan on slowing down actually on photo and video, like especially like this weekend at Possum Stock. Cody had given me like a pass to come out there and do photos and whatnot. So I shot his set and everything like that. I shot the Super Jam, but like other than that, like I mean, other than like taking like random photos like here and there, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna put the camera down and just enjoy being out here,
Hell yeah. Um, how was it though? Possum
dude.
stock.
It was great, man. Like I said, I the first Possum Stock I went to was last year, and that was because we were supposed to play it, but you know how that goes with the injuries and whatnot.
Well, I think
Um,
last year too though, didn't they have like a rain delay?
it rained, yeah, and from what everybody was saying, it's never a possum stock without some rain stuff going on. But like honestly, man, like that was my first experience and like being fresh out of the army. I'm like, yo, this is like almost exactly how we set up when we go to the field. This is great. Like it's just there's no army aspect. It's just music, and that's kind of how it was. Like, but hold on before I get off
You're
topic.
good.
But like last year was great. I had a good time. The only like I guess major complaint I would have to say about last year was like where our tent was. Like we were way back from the stage, but you can still. It was like almost like you were standing in front of the stage still. Um, but like when you got closer, it wasn't as loud. I guess it's just the way it echoed up the hill. But there was this year they had two stages going, and I would find myself getting caught in between both stages and having them both go on at the same time. But I can like listen over to one stage and like hear everything going on, and then if I turn my head the other way I can hear everything going on that stage, and there wasn't like a clash in sound. And like I the way they had it was just I've heard a lot of people talk a lot of shit on possum stock, but I don't understand why, because like I don't know, I had a blast and I thought it was put together pretty well.
I played taken under my old band played there back in 2017 and it rained and it was a big mud fest and it wasn't down here in at the river. It was out in Kentucky somewhere and it was like in cornfields. So it was trying to get everybody's equipment out to this fucking stage. It was gnarly, but it was fun. It was
And see that
go ahead.
that's the cool shit that I like to hear like about scenes like because like I didn't know like I've only thought it's ever been done in like two separate places like wherever they did it in 22 and 21 like was it Pleasant View or something,
Mhm.
but that's cool to
Uh,
hear that like they no matter what they Cody Parson, sorry, Cody Parson always finds a way to get it done, and I respect the shit out of that.
there was a, I guess that one of his buddies' parents had some land, and that's where they did it out there in Kentucky. But it was fun, man. I mean, I think it was like we played like at 3. I think it was like it was Guerrilla Warfare, Autumn Light Berry, Taken Under, like all those bands played right there in the middle of the daytime. And it was one thing I will say about that year. is that the stage was in like an underneath a bunch of trees, and where everybody was at to watch was all shaded, so it was not like you were standing out in the middle of the fucking heat all day, which was pretty
Oh,
rad.
dude, I remember we'd played our friends up in Paducah, Be Good Elliott. One of their buddies owns a shop, and he put together a scene, it kind of something like the practice Halloween, or the Halloween pregame was supposed to be something completely different, but I'll talk about that later. They had put together this, it's not a phase music and arts fest, and it was out in Kentucky. It was great. Like they went all out. Like I was blown away. I'm like, this is out in Cadiz, like, or Katie's. I don't know. However
Katie's
you,
Kate
or no, I think
Katie
it's Benton. I don't know. It's somewhere in BFE, Kentucky, and like they had a killer turnout. The only downside is the stage was like in the mid. Like, it was just, we were just out there roasting.
when was that?
That was last August.
Okay.
And then they had finally put like a cover up over the stage for like people playing and whatnot. But God, it was still hot out there. Like, and like
Yeah.
playing in the heat. Like I had never played outside in like a, like, aside from like being in marching band and like playing snare and whatnot. But like I had never played drums, like a drum set outside,
Oh, yeah.
and I didn't realize like, it was completely different. Like my hands were all sweaty. I was like
Yeah.
dropping, like sticks were coming out of my hand. I'm like, yo, what's going on?
I think out of my whole 20 something years of playing, I guess 20 years of playing, um, I've only played outside twice. And I was like, wow, I've only played outside twice. But
I think we played outside twice. Yeah, because we played Artsville one year, and then we played the downtown Commons stage
oh,
back in
really?
2021. Yeah,
Who was
but
what?
like,
How'd y'all play that?
to be honest, I don't even know how we got on there. I think somebody messaged either the band page or somebody in the band asking if we wanted to play, and so we were like, yeah, we'll play. It's a very, very chaotic set. Like, it was very chaotic lead up to that set, because it was just like the parking over there was insane, and like we had to get in and out like quick, you know.
Yeah, that's I and you're playing on a concrete slab, basically, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
no
played
fun.
to all of like 5 people.
Hey,
It
but you
was
played the Commons area.
yeah, and it was, it was before, and it like, because I went down to Artsville last year, didn't go in 22. I can't remember why, but I went down there last year, and the way they had it set up last year was so different and just better, like put together than the year that we played. Like they had like an actual stage in like the downtown area, and it was like shaded, and then the commons are shaded too, but like it was right in I think it was like right in front of City Hall.
Yeah, was that is Artville different than the Art Walk, or is that the same thing?
I think they're two different things. I only know this because I was gonna do photos for the Allstate. They were doing the art walk this year, and one of the stops was supposed to be on Austin P. But I can't. I had something come up. I had an emergency come up, and I wasn't able to make it out there. But I remember like the director of the Allstate was like, "Hey man, if this doesn't pertain to Austin P, don't shoot it." And I was like, "All right." And so it's just like, I think they like walk all around downtown, and they go to different like exhibits and whatnot.
Yeah,
I think
gotcha.
it's put on by the same people though.
Yeah, I know if I because I always the art walk's been going on for a while, and you sometimes you'll see some of the old art students from way back in the day. They'll come out and you see them walking around like older people. Anywho,
I wish I
um,
would have been able to go to that. Even if I didn't get to take photos, it would have been cool to experience.
I mean, there's always next year.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, um, what was I gonna say? So, Cody, what do you besides filming, besides being in a band? What else kind of things are you into?
Oh,
Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do on like what's your free time look like
my free time
if you
is
have any?
catching up on shows. Netflix shows or rewatching shows. Like right now, I'm rewatching Ozark because I don't really fully remember, but like I guess in like terms of like other hobbies outside of that, I haven't done this in a while, but I've been thinking about doing it because I also miss doing this. But I used to when I was in the army, it was very hard to like it was I found it very hard to try and put a band together that would actually like get together and do things. So like I would
Mhm.
just like music kind of took a back seat then, and I got into playing tournament paintball. And I played for a collective Fort Riley team, a Big Red One team, and then we played some tournaments out there. Got you know what we call in the paintball world getting our shit pushed in because we didn't have that many runs under our belt. Like we didn't like
Yeah.
communication wasn't there. And then I went over to Europe and I played for a little bit in Europe with a joint military team from like military bases all over Europe called Armed Force Panzer.
Okay.
And those guys, yeah, no, they're really really good at what they do. Or at least the team that was there when I was like the season that I had played with them.
Is that you said these were just from different people from different bases in Europe?
Yeah, like we had some guys from like Ramstein. We had some or Ramstein is how
Yeah.
Ramstein. But we
Yeah.
had some guys from there. There was some guys like they were just. I think we even like occasionally we would get a dude from Italy that would like catch a train and come up and play with us in Nuremberg.
That's one thing about Europe, man. You can take a train anywhere you wanna go, man.
And
It
it's
doesn't
it's
take long at all.
yeah, but yeah, and so you wind up on a train drunk as shit and you fall asleep and you wake up in another country.
I've heard that several times.
Yeah, it happened to me one time. I fell asleep in Munich and woke up in Austria.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit. When I was a kid, when I lived in Germany, I wasn't a kid, I guess I was, like, 13 or 14 or whatever it was, but I was, like, in the Boy Scouts, and we, canoed down the river from Germany into, Austria, and it was pretty fucking rad. It was pretty cool just to do that, but it was
Austria is
cold as
beautiful.
shit. Oh, Europe's beautiful,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, yeah.
the Black Forest and Bavaria, all that stuff, um, that's what I do miss, like, I miss winter times in Germany because it looks so badass in Germany.
Yeah, the only thing that I didn't like about winter is in Germany is the fact that you're saying goodbye to the sun for like the next 6 months because like the majority of the time it's going to be overcast, but like the overcast over there wasn't as like I don't know, it wasn't as dreary, but I mean, but
Yeah,
it felt natural, I guess.
yeah. I enjoyed living I lived there for 3.5 years. I enjoyed it myself,
Yeah, I miss it, and I always tell people, yeah, I regret leaving, but like at the time when I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life that I kind of let like I didn't handle it like I should have handled it, so like I had to come back, and then
yeah.
I ended up coming here to the Clarksville scene, the Clarksville area, and absolutely, falling in love with like the community here.
Yeah, so you plan on staying here?
Um, I'm still very back and forth about that, and the only reason I say that is like, and I go through this like every once in a while, but I'm still dead set on moving closer to my daughter. I just if I can figure out how to be an active force in my daughter's life from living here, I would totally like. I would probably end up moving to like East Nash, but as it sets right now, like the unsolidified plan because this is still a big decision that I've never really made outside of the army, but it's
Yeah.
to move to KC and be close because like so my daughter still lives out in Fort Riley where I was stationed. Like, it was my first duty station, and as much as I love Manhattan and all that, like it's like Oz. It's literally like the Wizard of Oz. Except it's not flat. There's a bunch of everybody like there's a common misconception about like Northeast Kansas is this
Uh,
flat. No, Northeast Kansas has a ton of like they call them the Flint Hills, but I don't know. I remember how bored I would get sometimes out there, especially like on the off seasons whenever like all the like the college and like the students would be out, and so like town
Mhm.
everywhere in town would be dead. Not saying that I like to go out to like massive crowds, but you know, like when you go out, you like to know there's other people in town with you, right? Especially like you go out to the bar, like you know, you don't talk to all these people, but it just I don't know, it just adds to the
It
experience.
where
But I
is that Missouri or Illinois?
Kansas.
Kansas? Okay.
So or no, so are you talking about KC or are you talking about
Yeah.
Fort Riley?
Where's
So
oh, Kansas City where?
Kansas City is on the border of Missouri and Kansas, but like so technically Kansas City is like the KC you think about when you think of KC is Missouri because I don't know the whole history, but I'm like all the cooler buildings and stuff like that are all on the KC Mo side. I mean KCK has some cool stuff. Like I think I want to say like I think the Browning is somewhere from around that area because on my 23rd birthday they were playing at this place called the Aftershock, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do a hometown show for this music." I can't remember what music or what song it was. They were releasing a music video for, but they shot it there that night while we were all there. It was pretty sick. The
That's
Browning's a
pretty
bunch of
cool.
cool dudes too, by the way. They're very cool. Like I hung out with them after like the bar closed and just shooting the shit.
Are they still a band?
I think they are because I'm pretty sure Hardcore Keem plays bass, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Um,
They might have like I'm pretty sure he plays bass in the Browning, or I saw something about him playing
no,
bass in the Browning.
I think you're correct on that. I think you are correct on that. And if I'm not mistaken, when you were at So What, I think they played that year, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still a band, and I don't
You
hear
know
much
who?
about them.
You know who? You know I saw so what, and it kind of got me back into listening to like I didn't really get back into listening to this band until like earlier this year, but Invent Animate, dude. Oh my god, dude, they're so good.
I don't think I've
So
ever
good.
listened to them.
They are they so I started listening to Invent Animate back whenever I was like getting into like the progressive metalcore, and I drove to St. Louis to go watch them one year, and I kind of fell off. And I remember they really like I remember seeing a post about their vocalist Ben leaving because he was like, "Yeah, hey, my heart's just not in it anymore." And they brought out they got the guy from Marcus from Aviana. I think that was the
Okay.
band he was in first beforehand. And they brought him in and they released the song Cloud Cascade, and I remember like, yep, this song changed like the trajectory of metalcore because like that's whenever you see like it's like when they did that, and like there were people doing it beforehand, don't get me wrong, like I think there was a band called Prepared Like a Bride. They have a song called Overcomer, and it sounds very similar to Cloud Cascade, but I remember hearing Cloud
Okay.
Cascade and like any metalcore riff that came out after that became like super well let me take that back. The norm for metalcore riffs from that point forward was to be like super drop tune crazy like stuff going on. You're playing in like double drop D on like an 8 string and you're like adding all these crazy taps and stuff in.
Are you a seven string player?
Oh man, I've had 7 strings before. I've owned 7 strings before and I have played them. But after the novelty of owning a 7 string wears off, I just it kind of sits on my guitar rack. And so currently I do not have a 7 string at the moment. I had to part with mine because I was going through like a pretty tough like financial
I
moment at
understand.
spot.
Understand. Um, but when you're at the end of the day, you go back to the six string, right?
Yeah, no matter how much I'm like telling myself, because it was like one of the things that I did post can't relate, especially when I like because I had bought Guitar Pro 8 because I really wanted to learn how to play these Polaris riffs that I had been listening to for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And there was one day I found a video of a riff that I wrote on a 7 string from Germany, and I couldn't figure out the tuning, but I saw what I was doing, and I started writing this part or this song in Guitar Pro, and I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be on the 7 string, but I realized like I can do the same stuff on a 6 string because I'm not really I don't know. I tend to hang around the bottom string too much if I get a 7 string, and I don't like to always compose like that.
Hear that. Hear that. So what are you currently listening to right now?
What I am currently listening to right now, I am currently binging the hell out of Floral Green by Title Fight. Do not
Okay.
know why. Another band in my rotation at the moment is Invent Animate. They're any like I basically kind of just play their entire discography because I like Ben and I also like Marcus. And I guess completely off like genre, but Co Wetzel.
What is that?
It's like a country art. Like I wouldn't say like country in the term of like stadium country, like what you know like the CMA stuff. Like I don't really know how to like outlaw country. It's like a new version of outlaw country almost.
I understand. Okay, got you, got you. Yeah, I don't really listen to it. I mean, I go back to whatever makes me feel comfortable, you know. And I normally goes for me it goes back to like the mid '90s, like that era of like Offspring and fucking Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and shit like that. That's always my go-to.
Yeah, I guess like in like the comfort, like the being comfortable or like the stuff you're comfortable with. Like my go-tos would my go-to is like it's either gonna be like pop punk that came out in like the early 2010s, like like the older story so far, old neck deep, title fight, balance and composure, basement, or it's gonna be just like straight up um traditional hardcore.
Yeah. What hardcore bands are you digging?
Right now, I'm digging Power Trip. Um, what's this band called? They're no, they don't exist anymore, and it
Did
sad.
Power Trip they didn't they did they play last year? It or wait, when did they make their comeback?
I know they played somewhere here recently, but there's another. Is it To the Wind? I can't. I think they're called To the Wind.
Okay.
Harm's Way.
Harm's Way is always dope.
Yeah, I've been like really, really like for a while over the summer. I
Y-
was that's like all I listened to was their latest Common Suffering.
Yeah, it was good. They actually played the Warehouse.
Did they?
Yeah, I believe they were it was when they came through with Soulfly.
Dude, I was supposed to play. So the one time that I was in a band in Kansas, I wasn't really even a permanent member. I was just kind of filling in because I told the dude I understand how to play bass because I have some sense of rhythm and I understand like lower notes and whatever. I don't remember why, like how I like convinced myself back then, but they were supposed to play this house show in Topeka, and hold on one second. Yeah, they were supposed to play this house show in Topeka, or either a house show or some shitty venue. I can't remember, but Harm's Way was supposed to be there, and this is like back in 2015, like before Bro got popular from the Running Man video,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I got into an altercation when I was like blacked out drunk about like a few weeks before the show, and the person I got into an altercation with bit the shit out of my left index finger to where I it was very hard. I could play with my like other three fingers, but I couldn't play. I wasn't confident in myself to play accurate enough to sound
The fuck?
good at a show. But
What you
yeah,
get
and
bit by a fucking dog?
no, it was another human. No, it was another human, man. And the fucked up thing was is like I was just kind of like, I mean, I get I was drunk, but I was just kind of vibing. But then they're like, next thing you know, I'm like being because like I swung back on this person because they had a hold of my finger. I'm not gonna let them like take my finger, and like I got kicked out of the car, and I'm like, well, I mean, it was like as long as you can get the the conflict to go away. But I'm just like, damn, how am I gonna get back to my barracks room?
Yeah.
I was like in the middle of Junction City, like just all right. And then next, like my friend Alex, the DD that night, he like swings back around. He's like, "Come on, man!" And he's like, he's Russian. And he's very thick, like Russian accent. And it was he just like pulls up and is like, I can't do a Russian accent, but picture this in a like, come on, get in the car. I'm gonna clean your finger. And then we get all the way back to the barracks, and bro starts cleaning my finger with like Clorox wipes.
Oh, ho,
Oh
ho.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was clean.
yeah, it sucked. I remember that part very vividly because like my finger index finger ended up swelling up to like the size of my thumb, like just to be a little bit bigger than my thumb, like after everything was like said and done. And it was funny because I went into work that Monday, and technically being in the army, you're like a piece of government property.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there, one of my NCOs is like, "Yeah, you need to counsel Hegler on that because blah 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 blah." I'm like, "You're gonna counsel me because like an altercation that I had? I don't know. I was dumbfounded. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I guess I'll just sign this counseling."
Yeah, you're part of the military. They own you.
I've seen somebody get counseled for not putting on sunscreen.
Wow, wow.
And like getting
Oh,
counseled isn't like, the worst thing that could happen to you in the army. It's like kind of like a petty thing because you got to type paperwork and you got to type it in a way to where, it makes sense to people in the army, and it has to be very descriptive,
yeah.
very active voice. And it's a lot of work because then you go and you go and like give it to somebody to proofread, and they'll be like, yeah, this needs to change. And you're just like, dude, I spent like 4 hours typing this counseling. What the fuck?
Thought it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. Um, where do you want to see this band in, say, 10 years?
10 years, the same contender. I really hope that we're still just playing music because we want to do it and we have fun doing it. And like I really by the time that we get there, if we get there, because like things happen, I want to see um so like look at the band Title Fight when they were like big and doing their thing. They had a very big community built around them, and it like even in their absence, like they're still a very popular band. And
Yeah.
I kind of want like that community to be built around it, and like just to build a community around the music that we release.
Have you guys talked about maybe touring at all?
Yeah, that conversation's come up, and it's we were talking about touring and can't relate too. It's just never we can never find common ground, and there was always something like, well, if we go on this person has to do that, or this person has to, and like it kind of just went around in circles. But then after I got out of the army last year, I went on tour with Autumn Lies Buried to do photos, and I got a lot of knowledge, like a lot of road knowledge, and being on the road to me is just like being on a tactical road march in the army because it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
At least like the way I see it, like it's just objectively it's different, but like the way the travel went and the way the like playing shows and setting up and figuring out where you're gonna sleep. And then I started seeing my friends in 95 Corolla start doing it, and I'm like, yo, like then the tour conversation started to come up in Contender, and it like kind of I think I was the one that initiated it, but I'm like, dude, like 95 Corolla and Can't Relate came out around the same time, like they were coming up at the same time. 95 Corolla's already on tour, like we have a very clear shot of doing this. We just need to put our heads down and get this music figured out. And like, and I'm a big factor into like that because I'm always trying to write. For a while I was just shitting out ideas and like trying to do this, that, and the other, and kind of losing sight of like getting a song out. But touring has been talked about. We just got to get past the first step of releasing music and building an online presence.
Forgot you. Yeah, yeah. Um, ha- are you? I mean, when you guys release this music, are you guys just gonna put it on all platforms, or like you said, you maybe do a split? I mean, as of right now, it's just it's online. Once you guys get it up,
Yeah, we're gonna it's gonna be on everything. We're gonna go through DistroKid again, like we did with Can't Relate,
yeah,
and
I think it's the best one.
yeah, There's a lot of perks of using DistroKid, except for
Yeah, there
this time
is.
around, I was trying to do this when I was in Can't Relate, and I would try and like, I would like listen to a lot of YouTubers that talk about like, Spotify algorithms and this, that, and the other. But like this time around, like before we go into releasing music, we're gonna make sure we have enough in the chamber to like carry us for a while.
Okay. Are you would you I mean, do you guys think you guys would release like I think it's a good idea, the whole singles release a single every so often.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
that's what we want to do. Like we also something we never did and can't relate that we've like I at least can speak on behalf of like myself, Taj, and I think Cole maybe Trevor. I can't really remember, but like we wanted to release like we had talked about releasing a full length album. Like the conversation would come up, but it would just always like, oh, we're just gonna release another EP. And I know we want to release an album with Contender, but we gotta do the demo, then the singles, and get the feelers out
yeah.
to see what people like, or to see like how people respond. Because like at the end of the day, if like people don't like the music, but we do, we're still gonna fucking release it.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's not gonna happen overnight either, too. Like you said, I think you guys just focus on getting that music done. Once you guys put it up there, people can see it, and then start playing shows. Um, but I I think
And
I'm gonna. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, there's been a lot of times where not having music up has shot us in the foot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody
I
wants to
was
hear something.
I was talking. So I had went to Possum Stock to promote the show that I'm putting together and like hand
Yeah.
out flyers, like the old school like type of promoting. And I talked to the guy at kind of Spoopy, and because he had a table out there, and I was like, hey, can I like come shoot photos at your thing? And we got to talking, and like somehow got on playing music, or about playing music, and I was like, yeah, I've always wondered how you apply to play. He's like, oh dude, you just have to DM us music. And he's like, do you guys have anything I could probably get you on? And I'm like, no, we don't have anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, we gotta wait. And I was like, and I wasn't really going there to like try and play. Like I wanted to come out and shoot photos for kind of Spoopy, because it's another thing to shoot and more experience to gain.
Oh yeah. Um, let's see what else we got.
So how did you get into doing podcasts, man?
I don't
How
know.
how did that start,
Um,
man?
I've had the idea for about 2 years. I just couldn't get myself to do it. I was too concerned on getting drunk all the time, and I didn't feel like I realize or feel like I could do a podcast and be drunk at the same time. It probably wouldn't go as good as I really planned on it doing. Um, so it took me to uh, back in May to finally last May and chill out. And this January, I was like, I'm gonna put out this podcast finally. I got everything set up, got my little room done, and March was my first episode I did. So March 2024, 2 years later, I finally get this fucking podcast up and on. I just like talking to people. I feel like I know some people in bands and whatnot. It did start out as being a podcast for music, but that's the only people I know are people in bands. So hopefully I can shift away from just doing bands. I want to do everything, I want to do anybody. If somebody else want to
Yeah.
sit down and talk. I've done some tattoo artists. I got some people I want to just sit down with too and talk about just um, you know, uh fucking mental health. I got people I want to do that with. I got people I mean, I think I said I want to talk about everything. Fuck it.
Yeah, well, I know I'm on this episode, but like one of the mental health ones or whatever. Like, if you need somebody to just talk about whatever, man, I'm always down. I enjoy talking to people too.
Yeah. And next time, man, once I get it all taken figured out, like I said, I was having issues last week with my fucking thing, and then I had issues today. But next time, man, definitely. I mean, maybe next time where you're at there in your little area, maybe you can get all the guys over, and just hook
Yeah.
up some micro, get up, just get everybody get with the same mics. Y'all can just talk back and forth, or I'm sure we can just I can send that. I'm sure that link that I had to you would probably work too to everybody else. I'm still learning this program too. This here. So
Yeah, the
uh,
reason why I'd mess or like I had asked, I was because like I'm like, oh, I'm about to jump on this podcast. Let me like offer the opportunity, and like everybody was down, but I was just like, well, let me double check before I show up with the rest of the band.
yeah. I mean, I don't. Next time we can do that. Maybe next time we'll do a contender episode. Maybe later down the road once we all get like maybe before the album comes out or something.
Yeah,
Um,
we would all be down to do that.
yeah, for sure. So the only show you guys have coming up is this one in October, huh? And that
Yeah,
is
October 12th.
is that a Saturday?
That is a Saturday. It is the second Saturday in October, if I'm not mistaken. Let me.
Yeah. I mean, I would think it would be the second Saturday. Yeah, I think it would be.
I think it is too.
Um,
And you
so
you got it going for you with the podcast, man. I like your setup back there, dude. It looks pretty sick.
it's
It
my little
definitely
it's my
looks official.
it's my little office, my little getaway. Um, you're gonna be your episode 20. So I've
Hell
I've
yeah,
made it
man.
to I've made it to 20. So we'll see if I
That's
got 20 more in me.
I have a friend that does or my friend in 95 Corolla, Christy, he does he I think he's bringing it back. Or the word on the street at Possum was he's bringing it back. But I got to be his inaugural episode. It was pretty cool.
Oh, nice, nice. Mine.
And like
When was that?
about a year ago today or
Uh,
about a year ago this time, I want to say. Yeah.
what was it
It was
called?
his podcast is called Five at the Door.
I think I've heard of this from somebody.
Yeah,
I'll write that down.
we yeah, it was fun. Kind of like because like that was when Contender was starting, and we weren't really sure that we wanted to like let the cat out of the bag that we were like doing, like we were gonna do something else, like. But it ended up like that's when the cat came out of the bag, and it's like, all right, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah. Back back in the early 2000s, I used to book a lot of shows in Clarksville, like a lot of local shows that like we'd rent out like a JC's building. That the JC's building is no longer here. It's now I think the fishing pond, or it's the parking lot at Liberty Park. But it was a JC's building you rent out for $150, and that's basically like a deposit. And you $150 plus a deposit. You get your deposit back at the building. Didn't get destroyed. So I'd book 5 or 6 local bands, charge $5 at the door, pay all the people their money back, and then save that money for the next show. And I did a couple of shows there, and then I started doing these little fests called Underground Meltdowns. I did 3 of them. One of them had Straight Line Stitch from Knoxville. Um,
Yo, I've
they played it. Go ahead.
Straight Line Stitch. I met somebody that like personally know. Like I
We
discovered
we we
them.
all we all know Lex from Straight
Yeah,
Line Actual.
that's I did not know they were from.
Edison was in Straight Line Stitch.
No shit.
You know Edison for the Mind and Masses recording studio,
His name, the Mind and Masses, sounds familiar. I'd have to see like a picture, but like,
Modern Primate recorded there, and
yeah, okay.
but the he played bass in in there, and then obviously uh, Ben Ross. You know Ben Ross? He's a
Ben
photographer
Ross.
as well.
The name
Uh,
sounds familiar, but I'm also thinking of a dude that I know with the last name, or no, they
not
just
Bob
call him.
Ross, not Bob
Yeah,
Ross.
that's who I was thinking of at first, but I'm pretty sure if I saw a picture, I recognize him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we all have ties and connections with Straight Line Stitch. Mark from Neovatra, when his band Flood was playing, they brought Straight Line Stitch to Clarksville for the first time, and they played the Warehouse. That was a fucking dope ass show.
I had no idea that they were from Tennessee until like
Yeah,
recently. I
they're
my
from
my roommate,
Knoxville.
my roommate, my first roommate in the army had introduced me to them, and like that how we became friends is because we both I he was fucking like he was an NCO and I was a fucking PVT. I was freaking private and like
Yeah.
in NCOs aren't supposed to room with privates, but like I just show up at this dude's room and he's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm your new roommate." He's like, "Fuck you." And like we didn't talk for like a month, but I came in wearing an A Day to Remember shirt one time and we started talking about music and that was like the Straight Line Stitch was the first band that he showed me.
Nice. Yeah, Lex, the singer from Straight Line, she was in a local band here in Clarksville called FSN, which was pretty big at the time. You know, they were around in the late '90s, early 2000s. And then when they kind of split up, her and the drummer was from Straight Line. They went on and got Straight Line started up. Well, it was already started. She just became the vocalist. They had two other vocalists before then. Um, but when she joined the band, it's when they took off.
See, that's like one thing that I wish I can like because I always hear people talk about like and you're the first person I've heard talk about like that era of the scene around here, but like I hear stories from like pre-COVID and there was a very real possibility that this was going to be my second duty station at the like when I was re-enlisting the first time and like I had known somebody I didn't actually no, I didn't really know them. I just worked with them and they were talking about the music scene out here in Clarksville and I'm like, "Oh, that'd be pretty sick." But then they threw Germany in my face and I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go."
um, the late when because I see I'm not from here, but I came in here in the mid '90s. Like, well, not even the mid '90s. I guess I got here in '93, so I mean that's early '90s. I guess
Damn, that's the year I
early
was
to mid.
born.
I got here and I've met a lot of people. I met a lot of people here, and then I started getting involved with like seeing bands and all these local bands. There's a lot of local bands that were around here. But the scene was really dope back in the '90s and early 2000s, and then I mean Clarksville always had a great music scene. It's just about where to play. But Nashville had a great fucking scene back in the day, man. A real big scene.
Yeah,
A lot of talent.
I've heard stories, man. I hear them like all the time and I'm just like, "Damn, I wonder
Yeah.
what the scenes were like post COVID." Cuz I got here so I moved here like right before COVID hit. So,
Ah,
yeah.
yeah, I remember when COVID well, I remember when COVID hit. Well, I mean, we all fucking
Back
remember
in
when
my
COVID
day,
hit. Back in my day, it wasn't called COVID. We called it the
the
vid.
flu.
No, um, but you know, they closed everything down, but the warehouse opened up real quick. You know, we had the
Yeah.
big shows. We were
I
so
was
fucking happy, dude.
dude, the first show that I actually ever played here in Clarksville was at Rebel House.
Really?
So before I got into like before I met the guys in Can't Relate, I had played with a cover band and like I like jamming songs like on my own and like I like to play a cover. I like to try and throw a cover in like sets because like I feel like that's like a way to get people to remember you. But I also knew that there was like a big cover band scene down in Broadway, and I was like, oh, that's like money right there. But somebody told me how hard it is to get into that, so whatever. But like the first people that I met here were um older gentlemen, and they were trying to start a they were wanting so it was brought up to me as like there was going to be a cover band but we'd eventually write originals and it's a female fronted cover band like pop and whatnot like popular song like top like do you know Bree?
Huh?
Yeah, so I was in her band for a while and we played Rebel
Okay.
House and that was probably like one of the more not in, I'm not saying this because of the performance because like the performance aspect was great, I had fun, but it was everything that led up to it and yeah, I'm not gonna divulge into that on air because I don't want
Yeah.
to yeah but I get but looking back I mean I'm just like oh, it wasn't that bad but I just thought it was because I didn't know any better or know any different I guess but yeah
Uh,
my first show was at it was the Monster Mash in 2020 at Rebel House.
what was the band that you guys that you were with? What were they called?
Bree and the After Party.
Okay, I thought maybe I'm thinking of a different name.
I think
Um,
she was in another band or she's in other bands. I don't know. I haven't really talked. I keep up with them occasionally, but I know
yeah,
she's in the scene.
yeah. Yeah, there. I mean, hell, cover bands is that's for you can make some money in a cover band
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're,
no, like,
you
what they
know.
were trying to do with that cover band, like, what my friend Chad was telling me, like, he invested a lot of money, and I'm into it to, like, he was wanting he's like, "Yeah, man, we're gonna make some fucking money," and I was like, "Yeah," but then Can't Relate started to pick up, and I realized I don't know, maybe I'm not old enough to just be in a strict cover band. Like, I'll play a cover set or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, I'm always I think that's fun to do, but, I don't know, man. Like 3 hours, like, well, we only played an hour that night, but 3 hours of playing because I did actually, I guess I did kind of play in a cover band in a sense when I was in Europe. The one musical experience I always forget about until I hear a country song. I played drums in a country band for a while, and like the majority of his songs that were like he would have his originals in there, but they would be
uh-huh.
covers. And we'd be up there playing like we'd play 3 1 hour sets, and back then, I was like, oh, I'm like into playing all these other genres. Country should be easy. I got my ass kicked by country, man. I'm not talking like radio. Like we were playing like old like Hank Williams Jr., Dwight Yoakam, those kinds of country artists.
Yeah, I mean, I
A lot
got
of
you. The
fast swing.
um, I mean, but hey, it was fun. You got your, you
Yeah, I got
got
it.
you something to do.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience that I took for granted at the time.
Yeah, I haven't my last show was well, fuck, is it October yet? No, October will be 2 years since I played a show, and my last show was at that benefit tribute show thing that Eric Elliott did up there in Oak Grove, out there
Oh.
behind
Oh,
that
I
Walmart.
remember that. Yeah, dude, I almost
It,
fell off the stage that night.
that stage was hella high.
Dude, I was on the side where Doug was sitting down below, and
Oh man,
dude, God damn, I've since bettered my relationship with alcohol, but I had been sipping on some beers at the time, and I didn't realize like how buzzed I actually was, and like you've seen Can't Relate play, and we all like to move around and spin or
yeah.
whatnot, and like I went for a spin, like we always did this spin on sidestep, like at the first little like breakdown section after the chorus, and I planted that left foot and spun myself around, and I started I'm like, oh, let me not do that anymore.
That was one of my time. That show was the reason why I just. It took me 6 7 months, but that's the show that really made me feel like I needed to quit drinking. I went on a tyrant that show about one of the bands the night before that was talking trash because they didn't have some place to put their merchandise or some shit. And I just threw a big old little tantrum and on stage for no reason, but whatever.
It's
Um,
funny when I first joined Can't Relate, I would hear stories. I would hear Russ stories about
yeah,
playing at the warehouse,
yeah,
and I'm glad to hear that you've got a better relationship with that now.
yeah, man. The warehouse were the probably the worst. I mean, that's the only place I think guerrilla warfare ever played was the warehouse back
But
when I
see,
was in the band.
I don't know. The way that it was like explained to me, I was expecting something completely different. But I'm like, oh no, Russ seems like a cool guy. And I remember we played that Newfound Glory cover, and I remember you were like, because it was your birthday. It was
Oh,
the
it was my
first.
birthday show. Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. It was
Because
2020.
I was talking to when Austin was like, "Whoa, what's some of your favorite bands that we would cover?" And I was like, I listed off a couple of bands, and he was like, "Oh, okay, okay, okay." I kind of fucking figured it was gonna be Newfound Glory. Yeah.
Dude, I remember whenever we were like, because I fucking Newfound Glory. Like my mom was friends with a DJ, and like she had like his entire like music library, and I remember discovering Newfound Glory and a
Oh
bunch of
wow.
other like, and it's like, and there's a bunch of hardcore bands you wouldn't expect the DJ to have because they typically play like popular music. Like I remember discovering Earth Crisis, Sebulba.
Wow. Wow. From your mom's boyfriend?
No, one of my mom's friends.
Oh,
I
okay. I
guess
was
I
like,
guess in like in all technicality, I guess he is a boy that was my mom's friend, but yeah, he like had this entire, and I remember for a while like he had the Mark, Tom, and Travis show live. And
nice.
for the
Yeah.
longest time, that's the only way I was able to listen to Blink 182 if it was a live recording, because it was just I would listen to it on the bus, and it's comedic. Like they're great together.
Oh yeah. I wish I could have seen them on this last tour. Um, when they played Nashville, fucking Turnstile opened up for them.
Yeah,
Fucking
I
gnarly.
know.
And then, well, no, before it was before Turnstile was on tour with Blink, they went on tour
It
with
was the
My
story so
Chem.
far.
Well, no, they were on tour with My Chem. When
Oh
My
yeah.
Chem did their reunion thing, Turnstile opened up that show, and then after that, they went jumped on the fucking Blink tour. I'm like,
Yeah, no, dude, Turnstile, man. I didn't get into like I knew who they were, but I didn't get into them until after like around the time of Glow On. But
yeah,
it's cool to see what they're doing.
oh yeah, yeah. Do you like military guns?
Yeah, I don't like frequently listen to them, but when they come on, I'll listen to them.
Yeah, I like them a lot, man. They're pretty cool. I like a lot of the new stuff that's out there, man. I mean, you gotta listen to the new stuff too, man. Don't be one of them, a gatekeeper. Be like, oh, my hardcore, because all the hardcore is fucking great, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I like
I'm a old school head. I mean, I'm not an old school head, but one of my favorite hardcore band is fucking Terror.
Terror.
Yeah, I've seen them enough times. I got to play with them once too in Cincinnati.
I had this buddy in the army that was a Terror fan, and he'd been a Terror fan for a very long time. And I we were it was when we were in fucking Poland. I think we were waiting to sign out weapons in the arms room, and we were just talking about music, and somebody had mentioned Terror being like a Christian band or something. And I don't know how true. I don't like I listen to Terror, but I don't
Nah,
dive into their music like that.
that's
But
funny.
but I remember this dude was like that much of an atheist. He's like, I fucking hate Terror now. I'm like, damn, bro, Fairweather fan, huh?
They are definitely not a Christian band.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
I don't think they never struck me as one, but I would never they were never one of the bands I would dive into lyrically.
Yeah, oh, they're one of my favorite hardcore bands. Them and Lionheart and obviously
Dude, I
Hatebreed.
saw Lionheart with Kublai Khan. Oh my god, dude, they played Break Shit. They did a cover of Break Shit. Dude, the Brooklyn Bowl was fucking that was a madhouse.
Yeah, I wanted to go to that show. I couldn't get away. I couldn't find a way down there, man. Which sucked. It's because like I Lionheart is one of those bands that I really really wanted to see, and I'll tell you something about them when we get off here. But what's the next concert you're going to go to?
The next concert I'm going to, man, it's either so I can tell you the certain one that I'm going
What was the
to.
last one you went to? First off,
The,
what was
la-
the last one you went?
the last one I went to go. I wouldn't count the show that I shot as a concert because I mean I was listening, but I was doing a
Yeah.
job. I would I went I went to go see this band called the Early November, and there was another
Oh,
like
nice.
there was
They're
a
good.
and I had never heard of them until like my friend had like I'd heard the name but never listened to them. But I have a friend that was stationed here with me for a while, and he was like we met at a Can't Relate show. He was a really big fan of ours, and his name is Wade, and he was in town, and he's like, hey bro, I have an extra ticket. Do you want to go? And it was had a really good time. Another OG easycore band that was
Oh
there was
yeah.
Hit the Lights. They were there,
Oh,
and it was cool.
nice.
It's
Really?
cool to see.
Hell
Yeah, it was
yeah.
cool to see them. Because I had been listening to them for a while. Because there was a time where I was into like the whole wanting to be in an easycore band,
Fuck
but then
yeah.
easycore kind of died, and 4 Years Strong just carried on.
Yeah. Yeah, early November. I didn't know they were stuck around. I think I saw them in like 2004, maybe.
They're really good, dude. Like
Yeah.
he's
I really enjoyed them.
really nice guy. I don't know the name of the vocalist, but he's a really nice dude, and he was really cool to my friend my friend Wade, who's a very big fan of theirs.
That's the thing, man. You gotta be cool. You gotta make time sometimes, man, because these guys, people come travel to see you from who knows how far. You gotta be nice to your fans. I
Um,
mean, there's a. Go ahead.
real quick though, the next concert. Oh, actually, no,
Yeah.
sorry. The next concert I'm going to is to go see Basement in DC. But the one that I'm excited about the most is my favorite band ever. My they're my favorite band. The story so far. I missed them the last time they were here, but I also know this band very well enough to know that they were going to come back around, and it was cool to like they released their first like they released an album for like the first time in 5 years, and it managed it ended up dropping right before my birthday this
Oh,
year.
nice.
And I remember like I took my daughter to like Target, and we went and bought like I got her a Harry Styles vinyl that she like because she also turned me into a Harry Styles fan. But
Oh, yeah.
I bought the story so far, and like we did the whole new vinyl day picture or whatever. But that's the one that's like the one because I haven't seen them since like they were before they blew up to where they were now. Like I remember like seeing them at Warp Tour, like venues where you
Oh, yeah.
don't have to pay. I can't remember what I paid, but yeah,
Where's that show? Where's that show going to be at Marathon or Brooklyn Bowl?
marathon. And
Yeah.
you bet your ass that I don't think I have class that day, or I think something I don't know, but my ass is finna be out there like it's Black Friday.
Who
I'm
else is
getting
who else is playing that show?
Koyo, Super Heaven, and I think there's one more. It might
That's not
just
the
be those three.
that's not the show. No, Microwave on it. Are they playing?
I don't know, but
That might be a
microwave
different
is
show.
sick.
That might be a different show. Um, my last show I went to Green Day, Rancid, Smashing Pumpkins, and then my next show is next week. I'm gonna go see Weezer.
Dude, I really want to see Green Day, man. Green Day was one of those bands that I when I was learning how to play guitar and whatnot, like older. I don't want to be like the typical old head Green Day fan, but like older Green Day, like and even up to like up to
Well,
American Idiot.
okay, I was about to say, what's your version of older Green Day? Because what
Well, when they
year?
were called the Sweet Children.
Yeah, yeah.
That was another artist that was on that dude's hard drive, and I remember like I remember getting like what 1049 smoothed out
Yeah,
sloppy hour and
yeah,
409 in your coffee
10:39.
maker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, you win. Now my in my hallway here, I got it framed. I got a big ass fucking Kerplunk poster in my hallway.
Dude,
That's that's my that's my favorite Green Day album of all time.
I don't need a distortion pedal, but I want to buy the Dookie distortion pedal.
I saw that. I saw that.
Dude,
Well, I just found out when I was interviewing him, I was interviewing Charles from Neo Vatra and Modern Primate, and he was like, "Yeah, I have a Mike Dirnt bass," and I was like, "Fuck, that's cool as shit."
I want a Mike Dirnt bass too. That was gonna
Yeah,
be my next thing. Even though I'm like not actively playing bass, I just want it.
yeah, I love Green Day, man. They were one of my that's one of my band when because see when I this tour they did Dookie in its entirety, and they did American Idiot in its entirety, and I didn't realize I knew as much American Idiot that I did, but Dookie, man, I lost my voice when that by the time they got done.
Dude,
I took me back to my fucking days.
dude, I like it. It took so I love American Idiot now, but it took me a very long time to appreciate like, and I liked American Idiot when it came. Like I would listen, because like I would listen to that album as they intended to, from like start to finish, and I would follow the storyline of the Jesus of
Yeah.
Suburbia. But I don't know. I don't think I really fully appreciated that album until like I was a lot older.
It's such a great concept record, man. Have you ever seen any of the footage of the live Broadway from that album? Fucking
No, but
badass.
I really want to see it.
Yeah, I believe I don't know if it's still on like Amazon Prime, but I remember it was on one of those one time and I had watched it and it's fucking great.
Dude,
Sometimes they say that you might get Billy at one of the shows if you're at one of the Broadway. Sometimes he pops in.
that's sick. Yeah, I did a freaking speech on Billy Joe Armstrong my senior
Really?
year, and yeah, I freaking knocked that shit out of the park. I
Eh,
just I don't know, I was that obsessed with them back in the day, man. I just them and like the Red Hot Chili Peppers too. They like fun fact, that was the first band I ever saw live was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but
Okay, I was about to ask you that. Who opened up? Who was what opened up for the Chili Peppers?
it was this person called Santi Gold.
Yeah, Santiago's dope,
Yeah.
man.
I haven't listened to them since, but every time, like, whatever music they had released around that time, every time I hear it come on,
Takes you back.
wherever, yeah, it takes me back. I remember, like, that was, like, my first show, and I remember going to it by myself. Um,
Yeah,
the girl that I
that's
was
cool
dating at
though.
the time had bought me a ticket, and I remember being just super excited to finally see them play live.
Um, you said you did your a paper for school on Billy Joe. I did a for my senior paper. I did a report on Jim Morrison.
Oh, hell yeah.
So same. It's kind of the same.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I think they're both great singers and both great writers. Um, what's your favorite Green Day record?
Dookie.
Yeah.
Dookie, and, and I'm gonna be specific, like, I like I like all the other songs, but look, dude,
Yeah.
my favorite song off that record is the hidden track on "Fuck Off and Die."
Oh yeah, that's pretty dope, dude. I think now though, I think it's actually is it on Spotify or play is it on like social I mean streaming
I
services to hidden
I
song? 'Cause
really I really hope it's like how they released it on the fucking CD, because, like, there are sometimes, when I go and listen to Dookie,
uh,
um, I don't ever pay attention to that. I just kinda, like, hear it come on, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, did I have, like, a fucking 4-minute pause before this came on?"
yeah, they played it they played it live at the show the other night. It was pretty fucking cool. He comes out, fucking Trey Cool comes out with the fucking bathrobe on, like this like leopard print bathrobe, and he starts undressing and shit. And he goes around to open it up, and the lights go black, and then he runs up back up on the throne, and they kick into another song. But they did one. I forgot what song they transitioned. They only played like one or two songs between Dookie and American Idiot. But to see American Idiot in its entirety live and how much performance they put into it, they blew me away.
Oh,
Phenomenal,
yeah.
phenomenal live band. And that was only the second time I've seen them. Second, it was the third time I've seen them all together, but it was only the second time I'd seen them since '96.
Dude,
And
I have yet to
'96, they
see
were so
them.
big. Oh yeah, they were just like I
I need
said.
to see them.
I got the tickets for $40 last week or 2 weeks ago, and got on the day of. Me and Eric Daly went, and we got there,
Damn.
and
Dude,
yeah.
Eric's a cool guy, man.
Oh yeah, I he's one of the probably first 10 people I met in Clarksville. 'Cause I met him through skateboarding when I first moved here. 'Cause we're the same age. So I met him through skateboarding, and then we lost contact with each other. And then I ran into him at a pawn shop one day. He was working at a pawn shop, and I was buying a new bass cap. So, but well, Cody, what you got anything else you want to mention before we end this conversation and you introduce Sad Ghost?
Make sure y'all drink water. I know it's not as hot out right now, but look, I'm over here sweating because I haven't been drinking enough water, and I just felt sick in the middle of this. So yeah, drink water.
Well,
And check out the Halloween pregame. It's we have a Instagram page, the link to the tickets, the Facebook event page, and soon to be Spotify and Apple Music pages. They'll be on there, and it's legit. You just at Halloween pregame 24.
yeah, and I'll have a link at the bottom in the description too for this. Well, Cody, it's been real, man. Go ahead and introduce the song that we're gonna play, and I'm gonna end it after that.
This is Sad Ghost, and this is our first single as Contender.
All right, everybody, enjoy. I'll talk to you later, buddy. And here
All right,
is Sad
man.
Ghost.